I mean, today the Supreme Court struck a big blow to Trump's radical deportation agenda, ruling against the Trump administration 7-2. In those 7 were 3 of Trump's hand-picked nominees that he nominated and got confirmed. They all ruled against him. Now, to understand what happened at the court today, we also have to go back to just last month, when the Trump administration suddenly told more than 50 Venezuelan immigrants that they would be deported within 24 hours, presumably to that notorious prison in El Salvador. At least one of those men says he was told to sign removal papers written in English, which he could not understand since he only speaks Spanish. Now, you may remember this dramatic footage from an NBC News crew literally following a bus full of detained men, headed toward the airport before turning around at the last second. That was because the ACLU rushed to court to stop those deportations, and they managed to get the Supreme Court to issue an emergency order in the dead of night, halting those deportations until they could weigh in on the case. Justice Samuel Alito dissented that opinion, blasting his colleagues for issuing the ruling, quote, literally in the middle of the night. I mean, I guess he was cranky as someone disturbed his beauty sleep to keep more than 50 men from being sent to a foreign gulag for life. There is that. Since then, the justices have apparently gotten some rest. And today, they have decided that the Trump administration cannot simply deport these men without giving them adequate time to go before a court and plead their case. You know, that little thing called due process. The justices wrote in their majority opinion today, quote, under these circumstances, notice roughly 24 hours before removal, devoid of information about how to exercise due process rights, surely does not pass muster. Now, for months now, the Trump administration has been losing court case after court case after court case over their attempts to carry out some version of Stephen Miller's fever dream of deporting millions of people with no due process. Just today, another judge grew noticeably frustrated with the Trump administration as they continue to drag their feet on returning Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Well, members of the public also are angry. They rallied outside the court to express their frustration as well. You can see it there. That comes after big protests in places like Boston yesterday over Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship, and these protests in Milwaukee over Trump's criminal prosecution of a judge who was charged with helping a man evade ICE agents. Or these protests you can see right there on your screen outside an ICE office in San Jose. Judges and the American public are definitely keeping the pressure on the administration. And with the rest of his agenda now in a bit of peril, Trump's strongman tactics are starting to look weaker and weaker. They're definitely not working. Late today, in response to the Supreme Court's ruling, Trump once again took to social media to complain that, quote, the Supreme Court of the United States is not allowing me to do what I was elected to do. Poor you. That's all he could muster, a whiny complaint on social media. Feels kind of, dare I say, low energy? Or to put this in terms Trump might understand, has anyone noticed that since his second term began, things aren't looking so hot?